excited that you are tuning in tonight. Y'all, all month long, I have been going live 4, 5, 6 times a week, like teaching you strategies to become the main character of your story. And as I was watching back, like playing back some of my content, I realized that the perfectionist in me was rising up. And so this week, I am really aiming to just be Kayla, like none of this extra stuff, just giving y'all the facts, lighten it up in your news feeds so that you truly grasp and understand like the importance of becoming the main character, but also just so that I can like make some of these concepts skinnier, because these are all things you've probably heard before, but I'm not talking to you above your head, okay? Cool. So tonight's live is going to be oh so juicy because we're talking about the power of saying no. And I know that I am a recovering people pleaser. Lots of people in my community are recovering people pleasers. So if you are one of those people who has like truly felt like in the past you were living for everybody but yourself, if you feel like you say yes when in reality your body is screaming no, and you don't want to commit to something, or you don't want to take on extra activities or tasks or whatever it is, but you have done that in the past on a pretty consistent basis, then this live is going to be for you. If you can already relate to me, I want you to throw up some flames down in the comments, because I am going to teach you 3 strategies to absolutely transform your life in this department. I got some notes over here because I don't want y'all to miss nothing, okay? And I'm not perfect. We're going to talk about how to stop feeling guilty after you say no. We're going to talk about like how to create unshakable boundaries. And then we're going to talk about how to step into your main character energy and truly reclaim your personal power, okay? So we're going to talk about all of those things, and we're going to kick it off with how to say no without the guilt. So one of the things that I tell my clients pretty frequently, something my therapist once said to me, is guilt is a wasted emotion. When you are feeling guilty, something has already happened and there's nothing that you can do about it. You can try to correct the behavior, you can apologize, you can do whatever, but whatever has happened is over. Guilt is a wasted emotion. Still, guilt used to be like my primary companion, y'all. Me and guilt went everywhere together. If I said no, if I thought that somebody was going to be disappointed, if I thought I was going to let somebody down, if I thought that I was going to drop something like in a task at work, I felt so guilty for people being disappointed or let down by me. And it did not serve me at all whatsoever. So let me tell you what guilt actually is. It is a manipulator. Guilt keeps you stuck in this feeling of self-sacrifice. It's like, oh, well, I'll just keep giving, I'll just keep doing, it's okay, but it's not okay. I literally was a professional doormat, okay? And so I would let people walk all over me, and I wouldn't speak up for myself out of fear that they would not be my friend anymore. Hey, to you back. So I want you to think about this. If you are at risk of losing a friendship, a relationship, a job, a career, like anything, because you said no, because it was mentally better, physically better, or emotionally better for you, is that something that you actually desire to keep or sustain? For me, the answer is a resounding no, okay? So drop down in the comments if you've ever felt like this, like, oh crap, if I say no, then like I'm gonna like lose this. Let me know down below I'm not alone. So the tip to this is to recognize that your feelings, your needs, your desires are equally as important as everybody else's, okay? So when you have that feeling of she's going to be disappointed if I do this, or he's gonna be disappointed if I do that, or if I don't take on the extra shift, my coworker's not gonna speak to me, I want you to remember that you're also entitled to being loved, to being cared about, to going home and having dinner with your family, to actually getting off at the time that you're supposed to get off at, okay? So when we do this, I want you to remember that no one gets to protect your, or no one's going to protect your peace but you. So you've got to do what you've got to do to make sure that it's guilt, it will pass. My friend, she always says guilt is like gas, it'll pass, okay? I do not know how to speak Latin. I do not. Lots of comments. Hey y'all, welcome to the room. Okay, so if this is resonating with you, I want y'all to throw up some flames down in the comments, bit. Cool. Number 2, I want you to talk about, or I want to talk about boundaries, okay? So now that we've gotten rid of the guilt, let's talk about boundaries. Because Unfortunately, when you're a people pleaser, when you are trying to hold everybody together and make everybody happy, your boundaries blow, like boundaries with yourself and boundaries with other people. Hear me good. Boundaries are not a fence to keep people out, but they definitely show people where the door is. Okay? So unless you have these effective boundaries, unless you put something in place, you're always going to have that feeling of burned out. You're always going to have that feeling of being broken down, always going to have that feeling of being like used, abused, mistreated. Nobody cares. When in reality, if we set some standards in place, you would be surprised how many people are actually willing to honor them. We teach people how they treat us, okay? So I was there, okay, y'all? Like I was working 13, 14 hours, picking up other people's shifts while raising my kids and going to school. But since that time, I've created a whole rooted framework for setting boundaries, but I started small. And so if the thought of telling your boss or your coworker, no, I can't like stay over, scares the crap out of you, I want to encourage you to start small with stuff like, I'm not taking phone calls after 7 p.m. After 7 p.m., if the phone rings and I'm not going to answer it, any email sent to me after 4:30, I'll check it first thing in the morning, okay? Small boundaries could be like, I'm not loaning any money over $50. If you ask me for it, then I'm not going to give it to you. Now, here's the key with boundaries. Boundaries are really difficult to sustain because there has to be an if this, then that component, okay? If this, then that. It sounds really good to be like, you can't talk to me like that. But sis, that's not a boundary. That's just a really assertive statement. A boundary is, if you speak to me this way, I'll hang up the phone. If you comment on my body, I'm not going to go to lunch with you anymore. If you don't stop calling me after 8 p.m., I'm going to block you. And then you have to follow through with what you said you were going to do. That is how you set an effective boundary, okay? So when you say no to other people, you are saying yes to yourself. Keep that in mind. When you say no to somebody else, you are saying yes to yourself. And I just want you to put that in your pocket for the next time you're feeling guilty. This is actually a yes for you. Okay, cool? All right. I'm making sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, last thing is stepping into your main character era, because that's what I do. If you don't know me, I'm Kayla Simmons. I'm the main character coach. I teach women to step into their main character era. When I say main character, I don't mean only character. I simply mean that you recognize that you are important, your needs, your desires. We don't go on the back burner. We cannot pour from an empty cup. So I'm making sure that you are putting your needs as a priority, right? Okay, cool. So when's the last time you actually felt like the main character of your story? And you can drop in the comments if you want to know. Like, when's the last time you felt like you were that girl? You were super confident, like you were rocking life, like your goals were on track. Like, when's the last time you felt like that? And if you don't, like, we can start right now, because there was a time when I said earlier, a professional doormat. Like, my friends walked on me, my relationships walked on me. In corporate, I was constantly the girl who took on all the extra assignments. I was staying late, I was coming in early, and I was completely unhappy. But when I started to prioritize myself, when I started to respect my own needs, when I started to be like, I'm off the clock at 5 o'clock no matter what, when I started eating better, when I started exercising 3 times a week, when I started doing what I needed for me, other people had no choice but to follow suit. And so we get to teach people how they treat us. And when you show up as a main character, when you show up confident, when you show up competent, when you show up saying, you can absolutely not speak to me like that. If you continue to speak this way, I'm leaving. People kind of get with the program, right? And so I want you to just visualize for a moment, what would the main character version of you do? What would you say yes to? What would you say no to? What would you have the courage to walk away from? What would you have the courage to invite into your space? Like, and then you start showing up as showing up as that version of yourself. And that is where the true transformation comes in, okay? Like, it is completely not enough to just dream it. You get to take action. So let me know down in the comments, if you've been hanging out with me, which one of these tips are you going to be implementing first? Are you going to start saying no without the guilt and like releasing yourself from feeling guilty when you have disappointed someone or perceived disappointment? Are you going to set better boundaries for yourself, or are you going to own your personal power as the main character of your story? I love you guys so incredibly much. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I will be right back tomorrow like a shoulder blade. Elijah, you missed it, buddy. You'll have to catch the replay. Have an excellent night on purpose. We'll chat soon. Bye.